Hello, everyone. I think it's 11 o'clock, so we'll get started. Can you give me a thumbs up or drop your a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me? Okay, thanks, Kelly, for letting me know that we're good to go. So my name is Christy Goldsmith, and today we'll be spending just 20 or 30 minutes thinking about FlipGrid and how you might want to use FlipGrid in your online class. Thanks, Steve. A little bit about my background. I'm currently the assistant director of the campus writing program, where we help faculty think about how to teach with writing. But my background is in education and my PhD is in English education. So I spent 8 years in the secondary realm. And sometimes they have great tools that haven't quite made it to the post-secondary realm yet. And FlipGrid is one of those tools. So when we had to abruptly move to online classes, this is the first thought that I had, that this would be a really useful tool. So our session today will be not so interactive at the start. So give me about 15 minutes just to show you through the tools. And then we'll have the last 15 minutes to ask questions about the functionality or to share ideas about ways we might use these tools. So the first thing that I want everyone to know is that I have, let's see here, I have dropped a Google Drive link in the chat. It's also in my screen share right here. This Google Drive document will forever exist, so you can use it however you'd like. A couple quick things about Google Drive before we get going is up here in this area where I have a star and a move. If you do not have this shared directly with you, you should have a little triangle with a plus. If you click that, it will add it to your own personal drive if you're logged into your Google account, and that will allow you to keep it for forever. If you prefer not to deal with Google, you can go to File and Download, and if you download it as Microsoft Word or PDF, it will retain all of the links, which you'll find useful, I think, later on. So here is the document link one more time. It's at the top here. And I will just be using this document to sort of take us through the session and to have some clickable links that you might want to use later. So any questions, comments, or concerns before I get started? Looks like we're good. All right, very good. So I'll start right here with just a little bit of why I decided to use this in my online course this semester. So I'm teaching one course this semester. It is a graduate course called Academic and Professional Writing for Graduate Students. It's the first time I've taught this course. I sort of ran the idea by Jenny Hart last year, and she was really excited about it. So not only did I have to deal with the abrupt online move, but it's the first time I've ever taught this course. This course includes master's and doctoral students from across all the disciplines. I have people in social sciences and humanities and hard sciences, someone from the vet school. So we spent a long time really creating that classroom community because we were all strangers and we really were getting comfortable right when the online shift happened. So I wanted to somehow preserve that community in an informal, collegial way. I also wanted to be able to recreate the informal conversations we have in class without using a discussion board. I think sometimes discussion boards seem formal and maybe sometimes kind of perfunctory. And so I thought, how could I do both of these things at once? And FlipGrid became an easy answer for that. So here in a second, I'll take you through FlipGrid, but what you need to know is that the first assignment I made through FlipGrid was the very first week that we went online, before spring break, before our soft launch, just that very first time where I wanted to make sure and see how my students were. And so I asked them to do two things in their FlipGrid video. The first thing was tell me how they were, just give them a check-in. And the second thing was to tell me what piece of the reading for that week they found as interesting or exciting or useful or confusing. So I was able to sort of create that community and also do the informal reading discussion that we normally would have in class or we would have via a short note card on FlipGrid instead. So I'm going to skip this bullet point. You can come back to this later if you'd like. I made a short little FlipGrid video about FlipGrid itself, so I'll let you watch that on your own time, but that's one that we're sharing with professional networks. So the first thing I want to show you is kind of what it will look like. So this is my class, Grad 9001, and here I'm the instructor. I created it. And you can see that this was created on March 14th, and it was a week 9 check-in. So this is what we call a topic. This is one topic. And the topic for this was, I told them how to access the camera, and then I told them how long they got. They get 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So they're really short, which makes it even more accessible. And then here are the two things I wanted them to discuss. So first of all, a little community. Secondly, a little bit about our content. And as you can see below, and these are all public, my students know that these are public. I don't share this link widely, but they have given permission to share it with other faculty members because I really like this platform. So these are all of my students. You can see lovely faces. Right away, I think you can see that you're able to see personality in FlipGrid, which is why I really like it. Oh, I'm getting a note that my internet is being a challenge. Let me know if I need to slow down or repeat, okay? So the other neat thing about FlipGrid is it's so easy to use. This big plus sign is literally what you click to record a response. You don't need any special software. You can do it through the app on your phone, which is free, or through the computer browser, which you don't have to download anything. And then at the end, after you record your little video, it asks you to take a selfie. So you can see that Evan here is showing his personality with his selfie, and here's Blandine, who's always smiling. So I like it because students can choose how they are represented online, and it's a little bit more personable than those stock photos that we get on my Zoom. So this is the grid with the responses. I can view all of these videos. So let's see, let's just click on Crystal's. Let's pause her when she comes up. So here's Crystal's video. If I were viewing this as a student, I could watch Crystal's video and I could reply to her as her classmate or colleague. So kind of like a real-time discussion board via video. So this is what the students see. This is the student view. It's really clean. It's really easy. No one had any problems with accessing it. I'm going back to this, the document, which by the way, if you just joined, this is the URL right up here. Feel free to save this document or download it. So if you want to use FlipGrid, you as an educator have a lot more functionality than your students do. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk us through a few of these things. So if you click on this, it's just flipgrid.com. And if you have not yet signed up, you can sign up as an educator. It asks you to sign up however you choose. I did not use my Mizzou email address. I used my Gmail address just to not clog up my Mizzou email. So you do not need a .edu address to sign up. But once you sign up, you can log in, and this is sort of what you see. So up here you can see this is my dashboard, so I can see all of that. And then I have two grids. So FlipGrid uses the word grid to kind of mean a container. So you contain things in these grids. One grid is for my class, Grad 9001. You see it's public. You see that I have 3 topics. So that's kind of like 3 little modules within it. Some have student videos, some just have my videos, but these topics are like little discrete bits of my content. And then here's a second one that I'm using with the Missouri Writing Project that I'm a part of. So a couple neat things about FlipGrid are there are different levels of sharing, and it's so easy to share. So anytime you see a rocket, you can share it. If I click on share here, it's going to share the entire board. That means it'll share this entire class, and we'll be able to see the whole class. If I click within my grid, you can see that I have 3 topics. These 3 topics are arranged in order of creation. So I guess this is last response. So week 9 mid-week update. So I've been using this as a way just to check in with my students and not have to write a voicemail or open Canvas and do the 2-factor authentication thing. I've just created a little video, so you can see me here in all of my work from home glory. And this is a good time to show you what you'll see on the student videos as well. So if you view a student video, it will look like this. You can provide feedback to your student via video, or if you prefer, you can provide feedback in here in just the comment feature. You can copy the feedback link to send to students, and you could send that to them via Canvas or Mizzou email, or you can email feedback. Now, here is a thing that I have learned from my students. When you email feedback, it goes to whatever email they logged in to FlipGrid with if they created an account. And so this may get lost in junk mail or a Gmail or an old account or something like that. So that's good to know. We'll talk about this a little bit more later. You can include a grading rubric. Now, I will say that I don't use this rubric because for me, Canvas is the place for more formal graded discussions. The discussion board there is often graded. They submit their assignments there. For me, this is more of like an attendance point or a check-in. So I don't use this grading rubric, but you can use it. It's pretty user-friendly, and I'll show you a little bit more about that later. So this is what you'll see when you look at a student video. But what I've done is I've decided that like it's so user-friendly that I just create a little video and say, don't forget, these are the things you need to do this week. And you can share just this video. So you see that if I click on share next to a video, it shares the private link just for this video. So I find this useful because students don't have to go to the big grid and wade through the grid. Instead, they can just get this in their email, which is the way I do it, or you could do it via Canvas, and they click on it and they see my video, and that's all. They can reply to me or they can email me. Most of my students have been watching my videos. I can see how many times they've watched it. You see I have 20 views, and I have 25 students, so not all of them have watched it. That's fine. That wasn't a requirement. And they've been emailing me questions. So I haven't had a lot of them responding on this, but that's fine. So if we're in good shape here about the functionality, I think very quickly, let me just show you what it looks like when you create a grid, and then I'll open up for questions if that works for everyone. So when I click add new grid, it's going to add what looks like to be a new class, right? So I will add a new grid, and here's what's required. So I mentioned that this platform started in secondary and even elementary world, and so you can see it kind of looks like it might be locked down for that, that level of student. But I'm just gonna name my grid test. If I had a second class, I would name it the second class here so I can have all that class contained in one place. If you're worried about who can access this, I'll tell you a few things. You can ask students to join using their school mail. That's a lot of uploading email addresses I don't want to do. You can generate a list of student IDs, and that's like a internally generated list. So it wouldn't be students Mizzou ID. You wouldn't want to put that on there, but you could just generate a list. But I always do public and PLC for a couple reasons. If you choose this public one, you can still lock it down with the password. So if you were worried about other people accessing it, you could do that. Remember that this is an asynchronous method. So someone can't FlipGrid bomb like they can Zoom bomb. This is asynchronous, and so students are able to access it at their own convenience, which means that it has a lot less, I think a lot fewer privacy issues. I let my students know that everyone in the class has the link and that everyone with the link can access it. And so they kind of know what sort of content that they'll be asked to do to submit on there. I never ask them to submit things that are sensitive or anything with grades. It really is just kind of like a public class conversations, and they really enjoy that. So I'm going to choose public and PLCs, and I'll show you the options here in a second. If you want to send a flip code, so students don't even have to log in, this is where the flip code comes, and I'll show you that in here in a minute. Okay, so here's my test grid. It's public. I'm going to click next. This is where you would add the password that you could send to them in email or Canvas if you'd like it to be a little bit more protected for your space. I leave that off generally. So here we go. Here's the grid. Let's go to it and let's look at it a little bit more. So this area here at the top where it has this white sort of design and where it says test, this is the grid's, the entire grid's theme. So the neat thing about this is that anytime you see a pencil, you can edit it and you can change all kinds of things. So you can put a picture for your class if you want. You can choose if you have, here we go, perhaps a plant sciences class. You can update your grid and you can kind of know what grid is for what class. After you have this, I leave this main header area the same every week. I don't change it so students kind of know what it looks like. It will have a default opener that'll say hello on FlipGrid, and you can also add a new topic. So I'm going to add a new topic to show you what it looks like. So topic title, maybe it's week 11 discussion. I'm thinking about the upcoming week. Here's what's really neat about FlipGrid. Students cannot record more than 10 minutes, and you get to set how long the recording is. So if you really want them to zero in on a point in the reading, and you sometimes think brevity is better, right? I tend to over-explain and to over-talk, so brevity is really hard for me. It's a good skill for me to learn. I might set it to 1 minute, 30 seconds. If I had 2 questions, like I did last time, I might set it to 2.5 minutes, which means it's less than an hour for my entire class. I can run through their responses, give them feedback, and it doesn't take any time at all. It's really kind of nice to be able to listen and do other things instead of having to read what they're writing. So the prompt would be what they're writing or what they're talking about for the week. So I might say, tell me about your writing process, since we're talking about writing in my class. Then you can also not only have a written prompt, but you could have a video prompt as well. So we know that accessibility is even more important in the online world than it is in our face-to-face classrooms. So I think it's good practice to have, anytime you can, a video and written directions. Another neat thing about FlipGrid is that it automatically captions videos. It doesn't show those automatic captionings by default on the browser, but it does on your phone. So if you were to watch one of my videos on your phone, it would automatically caption it. And it's pretty accurate. It's really nice in that way. So if you've been using YouTube or Panopto to caption your little short videos, this will do it automatically as well. So I might record a video that has the directions as well so students can see my face, and then I'll hit create topic. So this is the link that I would copy and share with my students. I might put it in a Canvas announcement and say, hey, go to this FlipGrid video and upload. You have 2.5 minutes to tell me about your writing process. And they would be able to click on that, go to the link, and we would see their videos appear here. Let's go back to my class videos just so I can show you one more thing before I open it up for questions. So earlier in this, when I did this FlipGrid presentation earlier this week, one of the questions was, can just the instructors see the videos? Like if you wanted it to be a private conversation between you and students, the answer is yes. But to do that, you have to edit your board. Let's see, edit your topic, and you have to add video moderation. So here's my topic, my week 9 check-in. I have to scroll down to where it says video moderation. If I toggle that switch on, it will make me view the videos before my students can view the videos, and I'll have to automatically, or I have to manually approve them. And so I can just not approve them. I could just view the videos, give feedback, and everything's good to go there. I could also toggle this switch off so students couldn't reply to one another if you were concerned about that. I leave it on because I want them to reply to one another, but I realize that I teach graduate students, which might be a little bit different than some of our undergraduate courses. So you're not prompted to mess with any of these toggles when you create the topic, but when you go back in to edit it, you can kind of see what you want to toggle on and off. So you can allow attachments, you can allow likes, etc. But you can make it very basic and not mess with any of that as well. All right, so let me go back to my agenda and make sure that I've covered everything. There's one thing I've yet to cover, so let me show you that. I'm going to cancel this so I don't mess it up. So this is my board with my student responses. Here's something else I really like about it. You can see that my video has a lot of views. All the students watched it maybe a couple times so they could see what they were supposed to be doing. And then my first brave student, her video has 28 views. So those students that are hesitant to jump into class discussions, they can watch their friends and sort of become comfortable with what they're going to say. Something else that's really neat that I realized is this is kind of a big class and it's kind of an intimidating course. And so some of the students hadn't offered any conversation in our class discussion all semester, but I got to see their face and hear their thoughts here. So that was a really nice unintended consequence of this, is that all students' voices are heard in a way that they often aren't in a classroom. So here are all these actions I can do. If there's an inappropriate response and I didn't put moderation on, I can delete this response. So if Crystal said something she shouldn't, I could delete it. If I wanted to download their selfies and learn their names, so say it's a brand new class that's starting and I don't know their names yet, I could download their selfies and have their personality there, which is pretty neat. I could also move responses, hide them, etc. So I can have those actions on the individual student level. And then I can also, when I look next to my response number, I can export the data. So what's neat here is if I export data, it's going to come up, let me change my sharing. It's going to come up in Excel. Let's see if I can get it to share here. Stand by. Here we go. So here's my Excel data. And the cool thing here is this is the feedback score. So remember how I showed you that you can enter a rubric, either the rubric that FlipGrid created or create your own. This score will actually be the grade that students put, be the grade that students earned, and you can upload this directly to Canvas. So FlipGrid is, as of now, not integrated with Canvas. We're looking into these options, but the feedback score right here would be very easy to upload in Canvas because you can sort by last name, etc. The other cool thing is that you can see all of my comments here. So these are my long form comments. I could send those via Canvas or something if I wanted to as well, and not deal with having to log in and out of the FlipGrid platform. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my listing here. Oh, no, on desktop, here we go. And ask you if there's any questions, any ideas that you have. One more quick thing before I open up for questions and ideas. 2 resources on this document that I think you'll find really useful. This first resource is FlipGrid's remote learning resources. They came out with some sort of best practices for remote learning on FlipGrid when everyone went online. And then even better is a blog that they host, which is now, there's a new entry called FlipGrid for Higher Ed. What I like about this one is that it gives very simple steps, probably much more clearly than I have today, of how to create your grid, create your topic, and then it gives you great ideas for ways that you might use this in your higher ed classroom. So I use it for informal discussion and reading responses, but you might want to use it in a different way. All right, questions or comments that you have, feel free to drop them in the chat. Yeah, so the FERPA concerns, I do not think that there would be any because I don't ever ask them to log in. They don't have to log in. They can, but they don't have to log in. And that's why I avoid using grades. So perhaps if you wanted to do the grading on FlipGrid, the assessment with the rubric, you might want to require them to log in with a university account and lock it down in that way. But that's why I don't even mess with grades. My comments back to them are like little conversational comments, essentially. So that's a good question. Thanks, Elizabeth. Anyone else? Ideas of how you might use this in your class? I know someone at the view count, good question. I know someone at the vet school who attended this conversation on Monday is going to use this for his research group. So that's a great way to not have to worry about the FERPA concerns as well, as he really is worried about starting a new research group in the middle of this pandemic and being able to also create that community, because that's the fun part of a research group. So he's gonna have them post like little funny comments and have them have like a theme for their selfie for the day. So like, everyone show me your confused face when the experiment doesn't work out right. I think that's a really neat idea as well. So can you hide the view count? I think you can. Let me look here under, it would be under actions, and it would be under edit topic, and it would be one of these other things here. So yep, there you go. Under video features, you can hide the view count, and there it goes. Kelly, this video with participants, or is this just for your own use? Can you explain Oh, that was to me privately. Sorry, Kelly. By the way, we are recording this presentation, so please let me know if you prefer it not to be shared widely if you were a part of it. But we will be sharing this video with participants, and also that Google Drive link will remain live. So you can use either one of those and contact me directly as well. Steve says this, it looks like one share option for grids is the embed code. So grids can be embedded in pages in your Canvas course. Yes, that's correct. No, I don't know how to do that. The extent of my embedding is linking within my sentence. So I've been saying like, go to this FlipGrid, and then I'll highlight this FlipGrid and add the link to it. So I would love to do some investigation of that, Steve. One more thing I did want to show you is if you go to flipgrid.com, see down here where students just enter a flip code, they can get directly to any of your grids or any of your topics by just entering a code there, and no login is necessary is my understanding. Steve Van Doren asked a good question. No FlipGrid, I do not believe, can share the student screen, but students are so clever. I've had some, they're like sitting in front of their computer and like with their phone, like selfieing and showing the screen. It really is intense. So that would be a great thing to use VoiceThread for. It really is intended as sort of like a face-to-face personal thing rather than showing a screen. How would FlipGrid work for a series of students each answering an assigned question, or for each a short report? So I think FlipGrid's limit is 100 students. What you might want to do for trying to like have them share a report or something is you might want to create a grid just for that assignment, and then create topics underneath and assign them to the topics. So rather than creating a grid for your whole class, you could create a grid for an assignment and divide it up as you will. So I might create a grid for my final portfolio assignment and ask them to upload in each of the topics different things. You can also assign students to respond to each other. It's really easy. They just click on the reply bubbles. So you could definitely do that. You would not be able to assign it within FlipGrid. So you'd have to do a little bit of finagling in Canvas to say you're assigned to this student, or just reply to 2 students, kind of like you do on the discussion board. So kind of work in a discussion board in that way. Any other questions or comments before we take off here? So I'm going to one more time drop this document into the chat. So before you leave, you have a chance to download it. Again, my name is Christy Goldsmith. My email is goldsmithc@missouri.edu. And if you have more FlipGrid questions, I'm happy to answer them. I've really just been using it for a few weeks myself, but find it really user-friendly in ways that other programs sort of frustrate me. So give it a try, and let me help you in any way. I'll hang around for about 10 minutes. If you have any questions you want to ask just me. Otherwise, thank you all for coming so much.